Okay, a lot has happened between September of 2022 and October of 2022. What happened is that during this time period, Israel imported 5 kosher red heifers for the sacrifice on the Mount of Olives, where they will, and also for the revelation of their alleged Messiah. And I believe they've already performed a sacrifice together with 70 nations preceding this, in which it was a lamb and not the sacrifice of the red heifer, which has not been performed at any point in time in the last roughly 2,600 years. Now, in addition to stating that top rabbis stating that they're allegedly in contact with their alleged Messiah, one rabbi even went on YouTube publicly stating that pigs can become kosher, and he has stated in several videos that he has met the alleged Messiah. And he would basically be making the same mistake as Antiochus if he declares pigs to be kosher, because in Nordic culture, a person can sacrifice a human being or a pig to the Most High God, okay? And they would normally do that during the winter months. So it doesn't surprise me at all that the rabbi goes on air stating that a pig can become kosher, because that is a foundational part of connection with the Most High God through Nordic Norse culture. But on the flip side, if we take a look back to when Antiochus made that same mistake and also took it so far as to sacrifice a pig in the temple, Antiochus ended up dying a very slow, painful death where his flesh just rotted and fell off his body. He died from leprosy after doing that. And where Antiochus went wrong is that he felt like he had all the answers. He felt like he did not need to ask any questions, and he felt like he did not need to listen to anyone. So that's why he did not see it coming when he got hit with a brutal curse for offering a pig inside the temple. Now, if he had gone to the place for the offering of the scapegoat, where a person who is not a rabbi and not sanctified would typically throw an offering off of a cliff to offer it to the demon Azazel in the wilderness. If he had done his pig sacrifice like that outside of the temple, maybe there's a half a chance he might have lived. I don't know. But he took the place of a priest and sacrificed a pig in the holy place instead of outdoors away from the temple. And yeah, that was the end of Antiochus. So hopefully the top rabbis who are claiming that a pig can become kosher, hopefully the same mistake as what Antiochus did. And yes, Antiochus's name does yield 660 in Jewish gematria, and throughout history we've had many people who have mass murdered Jews and taken the Jews' place within their culture and within their land, and these are all people throughout history who have had 660, 606, or 666 as the codes in Jewish gematria for their names. Yeshua stated that there would be many antichrists. We have had many antichrists already, and we've still got more now. And hopefully this rabbi will not be making the same mistakes as Antiochus, who came before him. And also, in addition to that, there's some talks of the rabbis possibly sacrificing one of the kosher red heifers on the Mount of Olives next year. Something that has not been done in more than 2,000 years. But what's kind of controversial about it to me, something that no one's really pointing out right now, is that last year, like in January or February of 2021, there were 700 to 800 unarmed Ethiopian Christians mass murdered by people who were seeking the Ark of the Covenant, the biblical Ark that was constructed during the rule of Moses. And the ancient writings say that the Ark of the Covenant has the stone tablets with the 10 Commandments on the inside. It also says that the staff of Moses and the ring of Solomon are kept together with the real Ark and not the many fakes. So, those 700 to 800 Ethiopian Christians who were mass murdered at the start of 2021 to get the Ark, the people, they were not solely seeking the Ark and the stone tablets and the staff of Moses and the ring of Solomon. They were not solely after all of those things. That wasn't the only thing they were after. Now, there has been a very, very old campaign waged to try to politically and also spiritually separate Ethiopia from Israel, and this has been going on for a very long time. It's part of Ethiopian history where they've been invaded, mass murdered, they've been forced to convert to Christianity or face death. And again, this is because other Africans have always wanted Ethiopia to separate from Israel. As a matter of fact, I noticed that, Ethiopia is the only sub-Saharan African nation that Africans allowed to be genetically whitewashed through the invasion of a lot of Italians and Arabs. I don't think there's any other sub-Saharan African nation where they just sat there and let a bunch of Europeans and Arabs come in and genetically whitewash a lot of the people. I think that's the only place where that's been allowed to have been done, because again, it's part of that campaign to separate Ethiopia from Israel and to separate Judaism from the rest of Africa in the hearts and minds of the people. And like Antiochus, a lot of these Africans who are online every day trying to make sure that everyone who's not white is against Christianity and Abrahamic faith, the efforts to although Christians are in error, I still think it's wrong to just raid their revivals, beating them with sticks and running them off with swords and whatnot. And I've seen videos of that too. I really don't think it's right to do that. Is anybody beating them with sticks and running them off with swords because they do female genital mutilation and a million other fucked up things? No, nobody's doing that to them. And so, is anybody beating them with sticks and running them off with swords because they still practice chattel slavery in Africa and Arab nations? No, nobody's doing that to them. And I think they don't have a right to do that to Christians. Africans who are Christian, even though they have varying degrees of error, which is really not their fault. There's a huge mess going on right now, and I really do believe that this was other Africans who mass murdered the 700 to 800 people, Ethiopian Christians, at the start of 2021 to get the Ark of the Covenant, the staff of Moses, and the ring of Solomon, and to have them in place in Israel. So now here it is a whole year later, And now Israel is saying they have the ARK and they have the 5 kosher red heifers and they're ready to do the sacrifice and start the rebuilding of the temple next year. This is not a coincidence. And the Jews, they know that the very few people who have been talking about this, these Jews know that no one's going to believe us. And for those who do believe us, most of them are not going to care. They're not going to give a flying fuck. They won't care if they're Christian in most cases. They won't care if they're Jew. They won't care if they're black, native, Arab, whatever. You know, their position is pretty solid because they know that no one cares about what we have to say. And Christian Broadcasting Network did do one brief report on the incident and only one, which is available for viewing on YouTube. Look at the link that I have shared below. But for the most part, nobody is alarmed at all at what Africans and Jews have done to get the Ark of the Covenant and the Staff of Moses out of Africa. Because again, you know, Africans have co-signed on this whole fraud. They've been working on it for centuries, and there is nothing that they want more than to fully separate the Ethiopian Jews from Israel and from Judaism, and they want all Africans and all Black people across this entire planet mentally, emotionally, and culturally separated from Israel. Point blank, they are helping Europeans to do this. They're helping Arabs and many different nationalities of people to do this. And one of two things is about to happen. They're either going to find out the hard way that they've made a huge mistake and fucked most Black people over 100,000 times worse than what they've already done for the last 11,000 years. Or they, or on a darker note, what if everyone's prophecies are wrong, and what if we just have just a couple thousand more years of the same old shit? God forbid. So I guess only time will tell, because all we have are a bunch of distorted documents from a bunch of Europeans, Arabs, and Africans who have been helping every major tribe all over the whole planet to distort this whole thing. And what I really want to know is, what is the real actual reason why they feel 200% confident that not only are they following the correct course of action, but there'll be no consequences for them doing this shit. I want to know what the real actual reason why they feel confident that they can just do this shit with no consequences and everything will be cool. They have the same level of confidence that Jezebel, over the child sacrifice, gangbang, drinking and drugging cult, Queen Jezebel, over that whole ugly cult, she had unshakable faith that she could continue her culture and her way of life and the mass murder of the prophets with no consequences, and everything would just be fine. She felt 200% sure that it was all going to be okay and she could just move forward with business as usual. But what's the real reason why she had that level of confidence? What's the real reason why these people in modern times have her level of confidence that they could do such an evil thing to get the Ark, the Staff of Moses, in the ring? And and they think they're going to separate all Black people from that culture. They're going to separate all Black people from the truth, and all the Indians and everybody who's not white, and they're going to live happily ever after. This is what they think in their heads. And mind you, a lot of these people, Most of them have little or no mental concept of the extent of the damage to this planet and how we need to change as a people to adapt to that. um like, can we please stop upholding that narrative where even when the last tree has died and there's only sand, you still gotta have men who need harems as your only choice? That is a whole other can of worms I'm not even gonna go into right now because it's just so damn ugly. And I know I'll be accused of being white and being whitewashed for saying that, but the fact of the matter is, in most peaceful African nations that have a stable economy, the overwhelming majority of their men do not have two wives or a whole harem of women. They don't. You know, they just don't. They paint this picture that where every African man has all these different women and that gay men don't exist, but yet every single pandemic that disproportionately affects gay men, like monkeypox and like HIV, it always comes out of Africa. It's always when gay dudes go to Africa, you get these huge, wildly ugly, scary pandemics, but then they want to sit there saying, oh no, we've got harems and gay guys don't exist. I mean, just fraud. But anyway, my main point is that everything is going to come to a head soon. And these people who campaign hard every day to mentally, spiritually, and culturally separate all non white people from trying to find the truth behind the faith of Israel, they might be in for a devastatingly scary, rude awakening, far worse than anything they've seen up during this 11,600 years of continuous decline of African nations. They might have made they might be making a mistake that could be devastating to them on a whole new level, just like prophecy says. Even right now, Nigeria just last week experienced one of the worst floods they've had in years. Um, they're probably saying it's the worst flood in the history of Nigeria, and 1 million people are displaced from their homes right now. There's water all the way up to the rooftops, and there's like catastrophic floods on that level all over Africa right now. And I understand that part of it is due to climate change, but at the same time, I'm thinking, what if it's also because of secret dirty deals done in the dark? What if that's a part of it too, and not solely just climate change alone? So anyhow, I know that the Jews are going to claim that the ark was always there and that it never left Israel, but nobody's going to just mass murder 700 to 800 people to go after a fake ark that's not real and not worth that much money. Nobody's gonna do that. I mean, come on. So somebody somewhere is lying about something, and the Hopi Indian tribe of America, they even got on a plane and flew all the way out to Kenya shortly after the ark was stolen to confirm the fraudulent Kikuyu tribe is the rightful holders of the ark. And then now all of a sudden you have Israel saying they have it. So there's a whole lot of dirty dealings going on, centered around this whole Ark of the Covenant business. And then you have Christians, most of them don't even know the real name of the Messiah in the New Testament. And those who know his real name, they don't even respect him enough to commit to it. Even though their Bible says that they will do miracles, heal people, and cast out demons, they're still going to be told by the Messiah in the end, depart from me, I never knew you. So their Bible says that they're going to have, people will have a power, but it's not the power of the person who can liberate them. Their own Bible says this. But yet they still have this cultural thing going where, you know, most of them don't know his real name, and if they do know it, they don't commit. I mean, there's just so many problems on all sides. And it's like, what do you do when you have so many people pushing prophecy to a point of fulfillment while the earth is dying, and the only clues available are a bunch of heavily distorted, heavily twisted people of all races who all have conflicting interests and who all want to be at the top of the totem pole, even though their leadership among those four races has only brought us the current collapsing of our ecosystems. You know, what can anyone do? How can we, how can we have full confidence in any ancient writings when the very types of people who are doing these things, they control access to the information, they control what we're allowed to see?